Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, in YouTube land, Facebook land, all across the U.S. and all across the world. We'd like to formally welcome you to our 9th installment of That's My Story. I was just telling the guys in our virtual green room that 9 episodes means that we're currently entering our 3rd month of doing this show for you guys. So again, my name is Jerry Midas Hardison. Joining me also is Miss Shelly Clark White, Mr. Brandon Stevens, and Mr. Ken Knox. How are we doing today, guys?
All right. Doing great.
How you doing? Lady, I'm sorry, and lady.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah, so tonight we have a special guest, as we always often do. But did we want to take a moment to acknowledge a few people that may be joining us? Or we just keep it rolling then? Y'all want to go ahead? You guys want to say anything to the audience before we bring Drew on?
What's up, everybody watching? I see my mother watching. Hey, Ma, how you doing?
And we thank you guys so much for your support week in and week out. Without you guys supporting us, there would be no us. So we definitely thank you for tuning in every week.
Yeah, the big hi from the UK, from the north of England, Mari Sisnicki and Kristen Stewart.
And guys, make sure you continue like you have been doing in the past weeks to like and share the page, our Facebook as well as our YouTube page. And make sure you subscribe definitely, so when we upload our new content, you can be first to be notified. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest tonight and also a special treat, which we will get into a little later. But this gentleman here is a drummer, a percussionist, a songwriter, also a producer, and most importantly, he told me he's an educator above all of that. He's also an acquaintance of our co-host, Miss Shelly Clark White. Would you please allow us to bring on Mr. Drew Schultz?
Yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Drew.
How's it going?
Hey, Drew.
I am great. Can you guys hear me okay? See me okay?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I have been watching the show myself since you guys started it. Ken knows I'm a big Chairmen of the Board fan. Shelly knows I'm a big Earth, Wind, and Fire fan and a big Honeycomb fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't forget their version to Stay in My Corner, Ooh Baby Baby. I believe Mrs. Clark White led on some of those tunes.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. Well, all I can say is how happy was I to see you, Drew, at the annual HAL Awards.
That was amazing.
It was the 28th annual HAL Awards. They were honoring Honeycomb, of course. Honored to have that. Bill Withers, your friend. Who I think it was Evelyn Champagne King.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser. Was it Mickey Stevenson also, or just Paul?
I know Mickey was there. I think he was. I can't remember if he was honored or made a speech. That whole event is such a blur. It was amazing. Yeah.
Well, you were a godsend to me, whether you know it or not, because of course one of our producers, Tazz Cole, was with me that night. She accompanied me that night, and she was taking pictures. It was great. I was on the red carpet, and of course her phone went dead, like the phone. And there was Drew to the rescue, and we have to throw up the picture.
Nice.
Swanky event, it looks like.
Yeah.
It was swanky.
Drew's camera saved the day. And then, of course, I was honored that you sat at our table that night. So
it was so much fun. And it was wonderful to meet you in person that night. We, chatted on Facebook and the Earth, Wind, and Fire group a couple times. But
right.
Yeah, that event, I went out there specifically hoping to meet Bill Withers that night.
Oh, okay.
And and that was really the reason I went out there. And Janie Bradford, who is one of the co-founders of that entire organization,
the Queen,
yes, Queen Bradford was kind enough. I walked in there and went there super early on purpose and went up to Janie and said, we've met a couple times. You might not remember me. Can I help out with anything? And she let me stuff gift baskets and set tables and stuff. So I talked my way into working the event.
Oh,
Awesome.
It was fun. It was fun. And they give out scholarships to art students every year. And it's Heroes and Legends Awards is a wonderful initiative with a lot of the Motown and kind of legendary R&B artists and behind the scenes people like Mickey Stevenson, Janie Bradford, working real hard to help young people pursue their own ambitions.
Sweet.
Right, right. There were like 5 students that received scholarships that night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a great organization. That's Lady Jane Productions.
Yes.
Right.
Nice.
All right.
So anyway,
All right.
I think I think Midas.
Okay. So, Drew, as I was introducing you, of course, I introduced you as a drummer, percussionist, songwriter, producer, but yeah, also an educator. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of the arts and education when growing up in the public school district? Your feelings about that, sir?
Yeah. As you mentioned, I'm a public school kid, kind of the product of an interesting district in a town called Shaker Heights, right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And Shaker Heights is a very mixed city in terms of a lot of different kind of classifications, economically, racially, just a wide swath of demographics. And so because they have such a good tax base, for less of a better word, their public school system is amazing. And so the Shaker Public Schools, I was fortunate to grow up in a district that we had 5 concert bands and 3 jazz ensembles. Wow. And I think 2 different orchestras, a 350-person marching band, and a full theater program. I mean, their arts programs were incredible. And, growing up in that, you don't realize that doesn't exist elsewhere.
Right, of course.
And so just fortunate to be in such an artistic hub growing up and seeing what it can do when you truly put funding towards the arts for students, to offer them a platform to understand themselves and express themselves and work together and sit next to somebody completely different than you and read music together, play a song, play a show, go back and forth in a jazz band improvisation.
Yeah.
It was really wonderful. And I'm very thankful. The further away I get from it, the more and more thankful I am to have had that experience.
Yeah. Now, just real quick, as far as also that being a part of the curriculum, the grade school format, is that kind of what got you into playing music and percussion and things of that nature?
My parents really got me into it. My dad grew up a guitar player in a rock band with his brother. They actually toured opening for the Love and Spoonful for a minute.
Okay.
My mom is still active, really deeply in music. She's a piano player. She's a piano accompanist major.
Okay.
Singer. She was a drummer when she was in high school, so her first drum set was my first drum set.
I know how that goes.
My grandmother was a piano teacher,
cool.
So even though neither of my parents landed professionally in music, it's been a big part of their lives.
It's in the blood. Okay.
Yeah.
Very well. Okay, Brandon.
Nice.
Wow. Sounds like it's a very big part of your family. I think we got a photo of you in school, Drew.
Yeah, that's me and one of my best friends in the world, Lance Ballard, who's also still a drummer in Cleveland. And that's actually, I think you can't see it very well, but that's me playing on a trash can. We were doing some percussion ensemble piece with a trash can flipped over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You still see that today, like in the streets.
Oh yeah.
So any object just about can be an instrument to some degree. So that's cool. Very cool.
Right.
My dad would laugh at me because my first job outside of high school was in a lighting factory, assembling lamps. And same thing. I'm very grateful to have had the experience, but it was walk into this factory with no windows and 8 hours later walk out. And I would be assembling lights for the showroom and all this kind of stuff. And the next summer I came back from college and I said, I think I'm going to play buckets in the street.
Yeah.
And I spent an entire summer busking in Cleveland.
We actually have a friend. Shout out to my buddy Timothy Easy Williams. He has a bucket drumming program he does with the youth, and so they get buckets and the drumsticks, and they come up routines and all. And I actually participated with them a few years ago in a fashion show. He asked me to be a part of it, and I had the pleasure to do that too. So just
doing the fashion or doing the music, or both?
The music part at the fashion show. I'm gonna leave all the modeling and fashion alone. I'm gonna stick with the music. But yeah, I can relate a little bit with the bucket drumming and all of that stuff. That's cool, man.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
cool,
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, Drew, you've been fortunate to work with many legends in the music industry, a lot of Detroit music legends, including
Ken
this guy right here with the afro, Mr. Ken Knox, with the Chairmen of the Board. Talk about the line. I guess that there is a line between being a fan of these musicians and great artists, and also being a contemporary or peer in the music industry.
I mean, it's a weird line to walk for sure. Mm-hmm. And I still fall on different sides of it at different times, but I'm sure we can all think about people who we admire, who have influenced us, who we look up to in a professional capacity as template setters,
Absolutely.
Whose careers we would like to try and emulate. Yeah, I mean, I can't help but wonder for Mrs. Clark White, who I believe she was 8 years old when she was touring with Cab Calloway. Same thing, to have such an early start being around people who really set the trend, and it's hard not to get starstruck.
That's right.
And so I don't know, it is just a difficult line to toe, and a lot of times I allow myself to be the fan, but I tell my students that there was a real direct time in my career where I stopped asking for autographs.
And that was a purposeful thing.
Yeah, that was a very calculated decision, because when pictures are different. Friends take pictures, family take pictures, coworkers take pictures. You don't go up to your brother and say, "Hey, will you sign this CD for me?"
I got you.
And it was actually Ralph Johnson from Earth, Wind & Fire. He was the first person. They used to offer deluxe backstage meet and greet stuff. I think they still do for a lot of the shows, EWF. And so as a young kid, I would either buy those passes or talk my way back because it was still cute to be young and into the group.
Right.
And after getting 20 records signed or whatever, one time I was going to see them and I was in line, and there was a lady ahead of me who was really, I don't mean to sound judgmental, but she was real. She was a real Earth, Wind & Fire fan. It was interesting because I remember saying like, "Oh, I don't know that I want to be thought of in the same kind of light as someone who's such an avid follower of the group." And so I put my record back in my backpack, didn't bring it out. And Ralph, who knew me by then, saw me coming and he says, "Oh, hey, Drew, what do you have for me to sign this time?" And I said, "Nothing. I got nothing. Who are you listening to? What records should I check out? What drummers are you listening to right now?" And all of a sudden we struck up this professional conversation. And since then it's been a real rare occasion that I'll ask.
That's very, very interesting take. So you observed someone else and just decided to put an end to the asking of autographs. Very interesting, man.
Yeah. And I mean, there are still people like Ken knows I'm a huge Chairman of the Board fan. And so once I get to know people, I let it go. I don't even walk the line. It's like, of course I'm a fan. But it's interesting. I think that the more successful an artist is, the more guarded they get about setting that line.
Yeah.
And you still know Ralph, right?
I do. Yes.
All the time, right?
Yes, he is wonderful. A wonderful guy, wonderful teacher. And I'm taking drum lessons from him right now. Yeah, he is the man.
I love it. It's amazing.
He's so awesome. And talk about someone who's into the theory of music, because music is an art, but it's also a craft.
That's
It's both of those. And Ralph really embraces both and really gets excited about some of the craft kind of math science behind it of
Wow.
how you divide beats and how you can challenge your brain just by reading the same figure 3 different ways and really learning the language of it. Ralph he's a genius. I love the guy.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
All right.
I had an experience. I'm talking about songwriting, measure about songwriting. See, General Johnson was our principal songwriter. Of course, he wrote for Shelly and them, Honeycomb, just about everybody, Clarence Carter, you name it. Now, when we lost General, I was stuck. What am I going to do? Because now our principal songwriter is gone. So I had to start writing songs. But before that, Jim and I sat in the studio next to each other producing. But I had never written a song. So what are your experiences? Do you deal with personal experiences or more calculated process?
I'm a fan of both for sure. And it's funny, like General Johnson's one of my songwriting heroes. Talk about like hooks. General just wrote hooks for days.
Right.
I mean, the Honeycomb stuff too. That I think is the second album where they had Want Ads again, but also had VIP, also had One Monkey Don't Stop the Show. All those, those hooks were just, you can't get them out of your head. And same thing with all the Chairmen of the Board tunes. So there was a DVD you guys put together, you, General, and Danny, and it was like a documentary about the big festival show down in the Carolinas that you guys were playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was that video where he was talking about how, and please forgive me for mangling the song title, but the 31 Ford
39
shape. Help me out.
39
2140 shape.
Yes, there we go. I think he was talking about that song. Oh no, it was Patches. About how people come up to him crying and saying Patches reminds them of their dad, and like he'll be like, people will come up and say that song just touches me. I feel your loss, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And General would be like, I didn't live in any of that. and so I think it's valid to write a great song that has nothing to do with your personal experience.
Very true.
But the other thing is true too, where you write something that's close to your heart and soul and speaks to how you feel and who you are, and both are completely valid. But there are a lot of songwriters who will not go down that path that General went with Patches.
Mm-hmm.
They won't, if they have an inkling of an idea, but it doesn't speak to their experience, they won't follow that idea. And so I think both are totally valid.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. And you guys, am I correct, Ken, that you co-wrote the whole newest Chairman of the Board album with Mr. Steels from Detroit?
Well, I wrote one song on it.
Oh, just one tune. Okay.
One song, and the Steels brothers and McKinley, they did the rest. But in our group, see, Brandon, Thomas Hunter, and Midas, the whole group, they're writers.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was forced to come out when General died. I was forced to come out with something, and the first song I did took off.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that from personal experience.
You?
Huh?
Was it you? Yeah.
You.
And I remember when you sent me a demo of that song that you did on your iPad. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I wanted your advice on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you got it.
Yeah.
You wrote us the song. I think the producer may have it that you wrote for us.
Sweet.
So many fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had a great time doing it with you. In fact, our producer Tazz did all the filming.
Yes.
man.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. Shout out to Miss Tazz Cole.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
did
you, Tazz.
all the filming.
Yeah.
So, Drew, what musician did you or do you still look up to? You know, that for your mentality and ambition. Who do you look up to? I think you mentioned a couple of them already, but who else?
Ken Knox, Shelly Clark White, you know, Midas, Brandon. No, I mean, I joke, but there was something growing up, being a younger musician. My parents were into, you know, music of their childhood, and so a lot of my first experiences in music was stealing cassette tapes of the music that my mom's band was working on playing, and really gravitating towards the Motown stuff. And I remember having a very clear realization that a lot of these artists were still touring, recording, performing, just kicking butt all over the world, and something connected there as a young musician, saying that, oh, you know, if the Funk Brothers can have a documentary movie and reunite and still play at the highest level possible, if, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire can still be out there killing it, and at the time, you know, it was Ken, it was you and Danny in general, and I mean Harrison still putting out amazing blues albums, and all these older artists, it was like, I genuinely mean it, where I was like, I want to be like that, where when I get, I want to be making music and enjoying it for my entire life. And that was a big, I don't know like exactly, there's no one moment, but it was a gradual realization that as I was discovering all this music, it was like, oh, and that person's still out there doing it. Oh, and that person's still out there doing it, and doing it to such a high level that it just inspired me, and still does.
Sweet.
Yeah.
While we're on the songwriting topic, you had a little, it would now be appropriate to go into the
yeah, for sure.
Well, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, we have something special for the first time on That's My Story. We have our guest, Mr. Drew Schultz, is going to take us through his process as far as writing and creating a song. So we're going to, you know, hook up the screen, and I'm just going to sit back and eat my popcorn.
I'll be brief with it. So yeah, I mean, what you guys are looking at right now is software that allows me to record demos in a self-contained process, and you know, as technology continues to evolve, it's gotten really pretty amazing what you can do by yourself. Not that it'll ever match up to a live band doing it in real time, but Ken will tell you, when I first pitched that song that we just heard to Chairmen of the Board, I sent a letter with the lyrics and with a really embarrassing version of me playing and singing all the parts. And for me, a lot of times lyrics come first. So that song specifically was something personal. It was kind of a rundown of the history of romantic missteps that I had made in my life so far. And the hook was, you know, so many fish in the sea. At least that's what my friends keep telling me.
Right.
I'm tired of casting.
Right.
The search is everlasting to find the right one for me. And I had all these lyrics, and especially General had a lot of those kind of lyrics where he would give you that little twist or hook or pun in the lyric, but then he would keep going with it longer than you would expect.
Okay.
And the one that always got me, there's a Chairman song called Let Me Down Easy. And he says, I'll take your love on the installment plan. But then he says, I'll take your love on the installment plan. Some of it now, the rest when you understand how much you mean to me, how much, and it's just like, so he just continues that kind of almost joke in the lyric. And that's kind of where So Many Fish in the Sea was born out of.
Nice.
It was taking that same device. And so when you talk about the craft, there are these kind of devices. It's like you can copyright those lyrics, but you can't copyright the idea of making a play on words and then stretching that play on words.
Right.
And so anyways, I'm getting super nerdy, but this software allows me to do things like, you know, I'll be quick here. So here's a drum.
Take your time.
Pattern. And so if I bump up this tempo just a little bit, There we go. Okay, so I'm going to lay down a drum track first, and I'm going to try and make it kind of sound Motown-esque.
Okay.
All right.
That was a little bit sloppy. Let me try that one more time. One more time.
Okay. And so you do all of your drums on the same track. Did we lose him?
Uh-oh.
Drew, can you hear us on your end? I think we lost volume.
Okay. Well, we can see him.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
Is your mic good still? Say something, Drew. It's not coming through. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. See if we can figure it out.
Should be able to hear me now.
Okay, yeah, now we can. Like this is our first time trying.
Well,
bear with us.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to go through and fix all this. I can't believe I just did that. That's what I get for doing it for the very first time here.
It's okay.
But
Somewhere.
but yeah, it's just one of those. Let's see. All right. I'm sorry, everybody. Anyways,
No worries.
Well, while you're fixing what you need to fix there, Drew, I think we have a picture of the Funk Brothers.
oh yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
We got two of the best.
Yeah.
Two of the best. Yeah. Mr. Eddie Willis on the left.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And who's on the right?
That's Dennis Coffey on the right.
Dennis Coffey.
Yeah.
All right.
Scorpio.
Should be back up. Let's try this one more time. I'm sorry, everybody.
Okay.
That's what I get for doing this for the very first time here.
No worries, Drew. Take your time.
You're good.
All right. Checking.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Your mic,
Drums?
not
Still
yet.
not hearing drum sounds, no.
Nothing?
Nothing yet.
Take your time. Take your time. While we're doing that, let's give a few shout outs real quick, guys.
Okay.
Take your time, Drew, because this is going to be definitely an inside look at, even though it's brief, of how the songwriting and the production is done. A lot of viewers at home may not even have the slightest idea behind that. So we're gonna give a few shout outs and let you get yourself situated real quick.
I want to give a shout out to my sister Jackie Moore, who's watching.
Shout out to Jackie Moore. We got Joyce Jacobs on.
Jackie, George, your other sister.
My mom is on.
How you doing, Francis?
My sister Faith is on.
Hey, Faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got Miss Stephanie Hodge on with us this afternoon.
What you doing?
We got Martin Law, not to be confused with Martin Lawrence. We got Martin Law. Shout out to the UK.
Martin?
And we got Chuck Edgerson. Chuck was a member, chairman of the board.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah,
Chuck.
back in the day, Chuck played keyboards with us.
Yes, indeed. And he sat in with us last year and tore it up.
Yes, he did.
Playing the guitar.
Oh, got a shout out to Miss Debbie McFadden.
Yes.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Head of North Carolina Music Hall of Fame.
Yes.
hey, Deb. Hey, Deb.
So awesome just to be in the same room as the Funk Brothers. I know, right?
Yeah, nice.
Well, guys, I might have messed this up. You're hearing the vocal though, right?
Hearing the
Still
vocal.
hear you talking. Yeah.
I don't know what I did wrong. And you're not hearing drums.
Nah, not
No drums.
currently. Nothing changed as far as your hookup or nothing, correct?
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
I was ready.
We'll have to do a part 2 sometime.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Oh, good. Well, hey, we tried, and I was ready. I was ready, but I'm a hold tight. So
And
hey, maybe,
hey to Hattie Rogers.
yeah.
All right.
Hey,
But
hey.
anyways, that
Maybe we can
software
revisit
allows me
it.
to record all these different things. That's all that matters.
Yeah, maybe we can revisit before we're done.
But
You know?
there's a video later coming of a remix I did where you can see using the same software.
Well, let me ask.
having different parts. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, would you like for us? We can take a quick break and show a video if you need a few more moments.
We can try. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
give
do
it a
that,
shot.
guys. We're going to go to the Motown Legends video real quick that we have for you guys. Featuring
The special guests you see are up here today are all Detroit soul legends. We worked on a project together called Back to Class, benefiting the Detroit Public School System's music programs. I want to make some introductions. This is James Jamerson Jr., guys. His dad was the bass player on almost every Motown hit that the Funk Brothers ever played on, 1959 to 1972. This right here, this is Melvin Davis. This guy is one of my heroes, drummer on Smokey Robinson's Tears of a Clown. We're talking about Crawl Before You Walk, the 8th Day, Howlin' Don't You Howl. What's up, Richard? Yeah. You guys know, give me just a little more time. Chairman of the board. This is Mr. Ken Knox from Chairman of the Board. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got right here Mr. Spider Turner. Stand by me. Yeah, yeah. Woo. Yeah. Of course, right here, none other, Mr. McKinley Jackson, legendary Motown arranger. We got Danny Terrell, keyboard player from Dennis Coffey's band right here. Steve Adams, drummer from Dennis Coffey's band. Jimmy Smith with the horn section. John Gary, Jem LaPalme, Emilio Tostado, that's the funk machine. On this record, we got Pat Lewis, who you're going to see in just a second. We got Dennis Coffey, Eddie Willis, members of the Funk Brothers. The Four Tops, Lenny Pickett, Uriel Jones, Earl Van Dyke Jr., all for the Detroit Public School Systems. The record is called Back to Class. Oh, you got me crying in a whisper and yelling out loud.
Nice.
That was awesome.
Nice.
Legends,
All right.
a few of them you've had right here on our platform, and one is a co-host with us. That's great, man.
Yeah. So that was from a project I did in 2012 with 50% of the profits from the recordings benefiting the Detroit Public Schools music programs.
Okay.
Because I also was a public school music student, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that had, the Four Tops and Chairman of the Board crew. And it was amazing. We're working on volume 2 slowly but surely.
Mhm.
Slowly but surely.
Right.
I think I'm back in action here if we want to give this another shot.
Let's try
I
it.
think.
Okay.
Can we give let's see what happens.
Okay.
So is that coming through?
Yeah.
All right. Let's give that one more try.
Okay.
So I'll try that again. Yeah.
Nice. We got some automatic notation going on as well.
Yeah. And so I can speed it up, slow it down, however I feel like.
Mhm. I noticed you
And
can
then-
program your drums like a live drummer too.
Yeah. Play them live. You know, I
Yeah.
try not to quantize as much as I can, which
Uh-huh.
forces it to be in metronomically, electronically perfect.
Right.
You know, and I study a lot of the James Jamerson stuff. So,
Okay.
you know, instead of playing some of his habits, let's see if I can
Mhm.
try and get something. So,
Wow.
Okay.
That sounds like Jamerson.
then I'm not going to sing on top of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
But that's the kind of thing where, you know, even though I'm not a guitar player, I'm not even that great of a piano player, but to be able to electronically make everything sound like drums, bass, keys, and for those of you who are watching, this piano, this is doing all of that stuff. So
that's your MIDI,
you can
right?
see here, yep, yeah. So there's our percussion,
drums and percussion.
Yep, and bass. So yeah, exactly. And so I'll record everything in MIDI, send it to a singer, make sure it's in the right key, that they like the song, that it fits their kind of artistic goal, and then go and re-record it with a band once they're okay with it.
Nice. Yeah. So it's important to get the idea down, and then you can tweak it as you move along and the song is progressing. That's great. Exactly. Man. That's great. Well, we appreciate you giving us an inside look, just at putting a song together, at least the instrumentation of it.
I'm sorry for our technical difficulties.
Oh, no things happen. Things happen.
And so it's been nice. I mean, it's opened the door to work with a lot of different artists to work about, you know, to kind of cross those bridges. And so you'll, in the video that we just looked at, you'll see that obviously it's an eclectic group of artists, and Detroit had that. I feel like Detroit's always had that.
Yeah. Well, that was going to lead me to my next question for you. What would you say, as far as going back a moment to arts and education, along with music? How would those, in your words, how do those things bridge the gap in areas where we may diversify as people, whether it be generationally, as a race, or gender, sexual orientation, those things? How would you say those things work hand in hand to bridge arts, education, and music, help bridge those gaps?
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the exact words, but there's a Curtis Mayfield quote that says something along the lines of, we all have the same hope, have the same hope, have the same fears, shed the same blood and die in so many years.
Yeah.
And
true.
Wow.
And it is the truth that music and art, sports as well, like anything that's a social structure that allows people to feel like they're a part of something bigger than just themselves, I think offers an opportunity to cross those bridges, to create those bridges. So it's not just music, it's visual arts, it's movies, it's television, it's books, it's sports, it's it's anything that allows us to feel like a community, a group of people working towards a single goal. And obviously that can get to be a little bit too divisive and turn into us versus them at some point, but there is an us in there. And so allowing those gaps to be bridged through culture, I think, is a huge key. And I have to give a lot of credit to the Motown artists for breaking down barriers, and not even the Motown artists. I mean, we were just talking about Cab Calloway and Shelly Clark White to tour with Cab Calloway. He was like a huge star in a real dark era of our history.
Very true.
Cab Calloway steps off the stage and couldn't go to the same hotels, or couldn't go to the same drinking fountain that I could, playing drums behind him. And he's the one making the money and selling the tickets.
That's very true.
And so, I think that just in that one video on stage, there's Emilio Tostado, who is a young guitarist of Mexican Spanish descent. We had Danny Terrell, who's Dennis Coffey's keyboard player, who's an older, amazing Caucasian jazz keyboard player. Then you got McKinley standing right next to him, McKinley Jackson. Chris Ames is one of my best friends, young guy singing lead. If you go and find that whole video on my site, and Chris is an openly gay young singer. And here we are all on stage singing R&B music together for the sake of education, for the sake of raising funds for to allow that same process for a younger generation.
That's what it's about, man.
And
That's awesome.
I really believe that. I really believe that if it had not been for where I grew up and the kind of push that I had to get into the arts, who knows what I would have thought right now about the state of the world, about people different than me. But the fact that I really looked up to people of a different race, of a different generation, oftentimes of a different gender, and sometimes, you know, of a different sexuality. One of the funkiest songs, one of the most amazing songs I've ever heard, arrangement-wise, is Sylvester's version of Southern Man. And here's an openly gay R&B singer in the 70s covering Neil Young, covering a white folk artist. It's just, music does that. You know, music just allows for those, and I don't know. I just think that we need more of that. You know, we need more of that. That's why I'm very much happy to see more diverse kids cartoons, more diverse movies, more diverse bands, more diverse, you know, TV shows, and allowing people. You can't control where you're born.
You can't control it. You can't control it.
So if you're born in a place where you only are exposed to people just like you, the fact that there's media out there to let us cross those gaps. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, I think it's beautiful.
I like the word you used just now, exposed. You know, I think it's important, just to, you know, add this and we'll continue, but it's important to have exposure. You have to get outside your bubble at times. And I can even thank my mom and dad. Like, looking back, growing up, they allowed me opportunities, you know, to get outside of the norm and have exposure to different things, whether it be cultural wise, just being in a different place. It just opens your mind up, you know? So I agree with you 100%. Music gives us presents us with a common denominator, so to speak.
Yes.
Very good answer. I like that.
Yeah. Sorry if that got a little bit.
No, man. No worries. No worries.
Awesome. We definitely. Oh, go ahead. Continue.
Oh no, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know we're running a little bit short on time, and we got a video of the band that I currently lead, and same thing, talking about bridging those gaps. The lead singer of the band that I currently am putting together is Trish Shandor, and she's killer female vocalist who is of a little bit of a different generation than some of the rest of the band, and it's fun to hear somebody bring their life experience and how they deliver songs that I wrote. So a lot of the songs that I write come from a young, geeky, white male perspective. And so to hear other people put their spin on it as they deliver it, it's super cool. And I think we have a snippet of her singing a Chairman of the Board song.
Do we?
I think we do.
Okay.
Back to those hits, because I like those hits. Yeah? Let's do it again. Hits.
Too long, the feeling I have is so strong. I know we can make it, there's no doubt. You owe it to ourselves to find it out. Give me just a little more time, just a little more and time. Love will surely grow. Give me just a little more. Oh, give me just a little more time, just a little more time. Yes, our love will surely grow. Oh, give me just just a little more time. Our love grow. Give me time. Our love grow.
Sweet.
Very nice.
A jazz
very nice.
rendition.
Oh
Sweet.
man, Deborah McFadden, thank you. That's
Yeah,
an
baby.
honor.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I noticed some bluesy chords instead of like the major seventh chords too. That's that was cool. It was bluesy, some bluesy mixed with jazz. Very nice though.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very nice,
A
man.
little reggae, I felt.
Little reggae too.
Yeah.
When-
Okay.
When I perform,
All right.
we do our best to explain a lot of the connections. And so when I perform, it's like half of a lecture and half for performance. And so we'll play So Many Fish in the Sea, which I wrote for Ken and the guys, and then follow it up with Give Me Just a Little More Time. Or we'll play a song that I wrote for the Four Tops and then play Baby I Need Your Lovin', or something along those lines.
Right.
But whenever I lead a band, I've always tried to encourage improvisation and extended solos and have a jazz mentality at approaching pop music, because that's what the Funk Brothers did. The house band from Motown. They really they were jazz musicians, and although they were playing pop in the studio, they left the studio and they wanted to be Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis. You know, Uriel Jones from the Funk Brothers was a teacher of mine, and he idolized Elvin Jones, the drummer for John Coltrane.
Nice.
And so trying to really have that mindset of improvisation, but within a pop music context.
Before we proceed, I have to make a correction from last week. There is a statue of Dizzy Gillespie back in Sherrod, South Carolina. They put it up. I had already left and going to college and everything and wasn't totally aware. We were talking about Dizzy Gillespie last week and me being from Sherrod, South Carolina. So I would like to make that correction. It takes a real man to admit he made a mistake. All right. So there is a statue of Dizzy Gillespie in Sherrod, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Now, you had the opportunity, Drew. You met and worked with Bill Withers. Is that correct?
Never got to work with him.
But
I
you
wish
met
I
him.
could say that I did. I did get to meet him. Yeah, and it was
Okay,
at the
gotcha.
Heroes and Legends Awards. Yeah. And
Nice
so that was
meet
the
you.
same day that I met Shelly in person.
Mhm.
And you guys, I understand, are going to have, I don't want to spoil anything. Am I allowed to say something about a future guest?
I
Well,
I don't know, Drew. Ken.
I don't know. I don't want to spoil a future guest.
We'll wait on the answer from our executive producer. But while we wait on that answer, give us a little insight to how Bill Withers shaped your some of your worldly views.
Yeah, there was a movie that they did on him called Still Bill. It was a documentary, a very loose documentary. It was just like they were following him around. You know, just lots of just conversation about his mentality on the industry and on the world at large. And it was not so much a career retrospective and more of a snapshot of who Bill Withers was at that exact moment and why he left the music industry and hadn't done any recording releases for something like 40 years, I think.
Okay.
And there was a moment in the movie where he's sitting with Dr. Cornel West and Tavis Smiley, and they're telling him, they're saying, "We love that you didn't sell out," is how they say it, that you always stuck to your guns. And Bill stops them and he says, "Hold on, let's look at that phrase for a second." And he says, if you own a furniture store, if you own a clothing store, if you own a grocery store, the best thing you can do is put a sign up in your window that says, "I'm sorry, but we sold out." It means you're doing good business. And so Bill says, you know, there's a place for that where if you're trying to make successful business, is selling out a bad thing? And so it's the art compared to the business of the art. And that's just scratching the surface of the types of conversations they have in this movie. It's a really deep, full of deep discussions. And that particular scene made me start to rethink my own career, because for the longest time, I was very purist. I only wanted to play soul music. I only wanted to play jazz. I only wanted to do something in this little box over here.
Uh-huh.
But if you ask me to come over here and write a 30-second jingle about a Subway turkey sandwich, I'm not sure how I would feel about it.
Right.
But now it's like
Get that
after
bread.
watching that movie, you think about, will writing that allow me to go back into what I really want to do and do it while still exercising my skills and exercising my own kind of goals. And so I really made an effort to reach out to Bill and to his family, connected to his wife, had a long conversation with her. And she told me, she was joking, and she said that her and Bill would go out in, I think they live in the LA area. She's like, they'll go out downtown and watch their accountant play in his cover band. And they were like, he is not the best musician, not the best singer,
Right.
but he was having the most fun on stage out of people that they even knew personally who were serious musicians, because that person, the music was escape. It was fun. It served a very different social purpose in his life. He wasn't putting all this weight on it, trying to make a living from it. And all of a sudden I was starting to have these thoughts about like, well, so what if I make most of my money through teaching? So what if I strike it big and get that Super Bowl McDonald's commercial money? If I'm allowing myself to pursue those types of things financially, I can still focus on my art.
Absolutely.
And might even enjoy my art more because I'm putting less pressure on myself for it. It was just that whole movie was amazing. And I don't know, Bill Withers was a big champion for education. Uriel Jones taught drum lessons. Ralph teaches drum lessons. David Garibaldi from Tower of Power was my biggest influences ever. He writes books and does instructional videos. And what I started to realize was that all of my favorite artists were also educators. And
Nice.
and in some cases, I know some musicians who make more money teaching than they do playing, and they love it. And I don't know. It's just that whole Bill Withers documentary made me really take a serious look at my own path. And
Yo, check that out.
I don't know. Bill Withers looked at his path and wasn't happy and left the industry.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is that's okay. That's what was right for him.
Yeah. And I did get the go ahead that you could make mention of whatever you had to say. It was something in relation to upcoming show.
It was.
Okay. Well, go ahead. I got the okay from the office.
Thank you, Tazz. Thank you. So it was at the Heroes and Legends Awards, and Ray Parker Jr. was the host of the event. And Ray Parker Jr., who will be an upcoming guest on That's My Story with you guys, Ray's met me on occasion through events for the Funk Brothers. I was real close with Eddie Willis. He was really a huge help in getting the Funk Brothers their Hollywood Walk of Fame star in LA. And I did a lot of fundraising to help get Eddie Willis out there because Eddie, needed other people to travel with him because of health complications and etc.
I remember.
So Ray knew me a little bit, and this was right before the Heroes and Legends Awards started that night, and Ray and Bill Withers come out, and I was not sure I was going to get to hang out with Bill at all. I just wanted to meet him that night. And Ray comes out and sees me, and he says, "Hey, Drew, I have to go and start the show." But Bill, who had just recently torn his Achilles tendon, Bill was like, Bill wants to walk around and that way he's not sitting down for the entire show. And so Ray comes, he's like, "Hey, Drew, I got to go in there. We're about to start. Can you help look after Bill?" And I was like, "Yes, I can." And so me and Bill Withers hung out for like an hour. Maybe like 45 minutes, just walking around and talking. And that night, getting back to education, his quote that I always remember, and this again from Bill, he says, "Education is pretty much always there for those who want it and are willing to seek it out.
Yes.
But it's not always there for those who need it." So Bill Withers says it's our job to make sure that those who need it want it.
Get it? Yeah. Wow.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's heavy, man.
So I owe Ray Parker Jr. a huge thanks for allowing me to get to spend some time with Bill.
Awesome.
Well, right in when he comes on.
Yeah. And we do have a video of a drum solo.
Oh, okay.
By Mr.
Cool.
Drew Schultz.
All right.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Hi-hat chopping the whole time.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I was tapping my feet during that solo. Now, was that Who Is He and Who Is He to You?
That is, yeah. We do, that Bill Withers song. We do that pretty much every show. And that's the song where I get to go to town a little bit on the drums.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great job. Speaking of drumming, how was it being the youngest drummer for your hero, the Four Tops? How was that? And how did that come about?
Oh man, it was literally a dream come true for sure.
Nice. Look at that.
And it's a real long story. I'm going to try and just drop names in a chain here, but it started with a gentleman named Mark Steinberg, who was the manager for the Funk Brothers.
Okay.
And I was in middle school, and I was writing a newspaper article, and I wanted to interview Uriel Jones.
Okay.
And so I reached out to Mark. This is when you could still find somebody's phone number on their website, which does not happen anymore. So I called Mark Steinberg, and he's like, "You're how old? And you know who Uriel Jones is?" And he's like, if you know, oh, thanks, Charles. I've worked with Charles's daughter Sabrina for years in Detroit.
Yeah, nice.
Super talented in her own right, man. But so Mark got me in touch with Uriel Jones from the Funk Brothers, and when I got to meet the Four Tops, their conductor George Roundtree had worked with Uriel, and so I reached out to one of the Four Tops horn players named Mart Avant, who got me in touch with their drummer, who I was trying to get lessons from because I'm a geek. And their drummer, Butch Corbett, Butch was like, "Well, I can't teach while I'm in town, but come to our sound check." And so that's how I got to meet all the guys.
Wow.
And when their musical director, George Roundtree, heard that I was a student of Uriel Jones, that just kind of opened the door because he had worked with Uriel.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where me being a past one thing leads to another. And I was 19 when I got to play my first gig with them on hand percussion.
Wow.
Because they did not have a traveling hand percussionist. And actually, same thing with you guys, Ken. Ken was very nice enough to let me sit in with the chairman at the House of Blues in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, it was great too. You did a great job.
Thank you. But it's one of the benefits of playing percussion is when the band does not have a percussionist, you're not stepping on anybody's toes. You're not taking anybody's gig.
Right.
You're able to fit in and just add to it.
Add flavor.
So, right. Yeah. And so I started playing hand percussion for the Tops, and when their drummer stepped aside from the gig, they had known me for so long. They knew that I was a student. They knew that I could read music. They knew that I was a big fan of the history of the group, and so both Butch and George Roundtree kind of pushed me to taking the drum chair when Butch stepped aside.
Yeah,
and that led to everything else. You know, playing with the Tops led to playing with the Temps and Aretha Franklin and everything.
Nice.
Awesome, man.
Oh,
awesome.
Quick note on Aretha Franklin. Now, you were a part of Aretha Franklin's homegoing services, correct?
I was.
Oh man.
I was.
Yeah.
It was.
I saw you.
Oh, really? It was beautiful and crazy and I don't know. That's another one of those things that was a blur, and I'm so thankful to have been a part of it.
Yeah, that's got to be an honor.
That's a great honor.
Yeah. But
our mutual friend Eric Bryce was also.
Yeah, Eric Bryce is up there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There were so many people up there who I didn't get to meet.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I got a chance to play with her for one of her Christmas parties with the Tops.
Okay.
And one of the Four Tops trumpet players and horn contractors in the Detroit area, Kenny Robinson, who right now has like a whole company of horn lip balm to help with mouthpiece embouchure. And
wow.
He's an entrepreneur in his own right. But Kenny would call me to play percussion with Aretha anytime she was in the Detroit area or driving distance.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a lot of gigs with Aretha for about 10 years.
Oh man.
Yeah, rest in peace to
the
Queen, Aretha Franklin. Oh. All right, Shelly.
Yes. Well, Drew, it looks like we're still 6 degrees of separation because you've had substantial interaction with my very own beloved late brother-in-law, Maurice White. And I'm glad that we're there he is.
Yeah.
Look how young. How old are you?
I was 17, I think.
Wow. Wow.
It's Drew with a lot less hair.
That's something. I'm glad I'm glad we saved the best for last.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that you even worked with the late great Allie Willis, or at least you did a dedication for her, the late great Allie Willis, who was the lyricist for at least 4 or 5 songs for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. And it was she's a real treasure, and rest in peace to her as well. That was a shock. I know Verdine woke me up in the middle of the night, and he said, "Oh my God, Allie just passed." And we stayed up from that point on. It was just that sudden. She was that sort of integral part of Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, writing September, co-writing September, and In the Stone, and so many other songs for Earth, Wind, and Fire. But I wanted to hear about this dedication and how you came out wanting to do something for her.
Yeah. So I met Allie through the Motown Museum. I was the Motown Museum's educational program manager for quite a bit of time and helped them launch some summer camp programs for students. They had a high school camp that had been going on for years before I got there, but I helped them write and launch a younger summer camp. And Allie grew up in Detroit. And so she would always come back and visit the Motown Museum. And in fact, in a couple exhibits that the museum put together about specifically about Motown breaking down cultural barriers, Allie provided some interviews and some material for the exhibits. And so I got to meet her and work with her through the museum. She came and spoke to our summer camp students twice. And she did an event here in Detroit that my band was the house band for. And on stage, we played September, but played it with that Motown kind of feel where you had the 4 on the snare drum and the tambourine work and guitar backbeats. So we were trying to take September and make it sound as though it was a Holland Dozier Holland Motown production.
Oh, wow.
And the museum's fund development manager, Paul, took a video of it and sent it to Allie after the fact. And Allie just like flipped out and loved it. And and so right sadly, right before she passed, she did a party on the 21st night of September,
Right.
in Detroit, and asked me to DJ for it. And so for that event, I put together a version of September that sounds like a Motown thing. And if you hear the full version, it actually has quotes of Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes, Ain't Too Proud to Beg by the Temptations, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch by the Tops. I'm trying to think if there are any others, but it quotes a bunch of Motown songs kind of underneath Maurice's vocal for the song. So it was like a Motown version of September specifically for this event that Allie was throwing in Detroit.
Sweet.
And it was so much fun. She was a trip. She was so much fun. I mean that in the best way. Like, you know, it was one of those things where she'd come up on stage whenever she wanted to. She would just take the microphone and come up and tell a story or get the crowd singing a song. She had me play September. I had to be 10 times that night.
Wow.
You know, because it's Detroit. And so Frida Payne walks in, and all of a sudden Allie takes the mic and says, Frida Payne is here. Come on, sing September with us. You know, it was so much fun. She was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And she really gave back, you know?
Yes. Well, I played the video, which we're going to show in a minute. I played it for Verdine, and he was like, not only is this brilliant, he was ahead of his time with quarantine and the way we're recording. So Tazz, anytime you're ready, we'd love to see this video.
Me too.
Nice.
That was awesome.
That's cool.
Brilliant.
Now, where can we go to see the whole thing, or is that just in your own personal archive?
Oh no, yeah, you can go. I should know this off the top of my head. Shame on me. My website has a lot of my videos. You can go to my Facebook, my Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram is Drew Schultz.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you can find Mr. Drew Schultz on all of his social media outlets.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that video, actually, all the videos that we've looked at so far are up on those platforms. And,
man. Well, I just sent you a friend request on Facebook a day or two ago. I'm gonna go find it.
Yep.
I'd like to hear the whole thing, man.
I'd like to hear the whole thing too.
Yeah, I was just getting into it.
Well, I am honored, and especially, I mean, if Verdine liked it, thank you, because the crux of that whole video is the bass part. I was trying to make it sound like James Jamerson.
That was nice.
From the Funk Brothers. And
one of his heroes. That's great.
Verdine will know if I did it right or not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know? But tell him I say, hey,
Thank you. I certainly will.
That was brilliant.
Oh man. So I guess before we close, we'll get into a little quick Q&A with the audience and the viewers.
Yeah.
Lane, that was so cool. Indeed, you are ahead of your time, Drew. You can teach the older people a few things.
Oh, thank you. And I see Alfreda, I see Hattie, I see obviously Chuck.
Yeah.
Oh man,
the whole gang is
thank
here.
you. I saw some of our UK British friends.
Yeah.
Neil.
Shout out to Ellie and Neil.
Yeah, Neil.
Yeah. Our UK folks, Ellie, Neil, what's going on?
Yeah.
Let's see. Drew, would love to speak with you about your programs in the D, where I can help. I wish to be helpful in the constant battle with people not realizing with the school closings and dire need of funding to keep programs needed for the underprivileged.
Yeah, Hattie, thank you. Yeah, and feel free to reach out anytime. And the Detroit public school systems, to their credit, are doing a lot of work.
Hattie and I went to school together. Hattie's a vocalist. And we were like choir, glee club, junior high to high school. And Hattie's on top of it.
She's awesome. We met at the Detroit at the Marble Bar for the Motor City Soul Club for their party. And,
okay, cool.
But yeah, Hattie, reach out anytime. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them out there. Joyce, you're brilliant.
Nice.
You're brilliant, Joyce. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been great.
Like to say hello to Karen McBride. She's from the UK. She comes on every Thursday.
Okay, shout out to Karen McBride.
What's up, Karen?
And I gotta say thank you to the UK soul scene for keeping the unsung heroes in the forefront.
Good
because
point.
if it had not been for the Northern soul scene in the UK, I wouldn't know half of my heroes. And when I moved to Detroit, there are DJs here in the city like Dan Austin from the Motor City Soul Club who play a lot of the stuff that's just bubbling under the surface.
Right.
And it opened my entire world. I moved to Detroit loving the Funk Brothers and the Four Tops and Motown. And within a couple months, because the Northern Soul scene existed, I realized that there was so much more. So Marky, thank you.
Yeah.
From the far north of England.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today, you guys.
Yes, indeed.
A lot of fun.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry if I rambled.
No, this is what you're supposed to do. We come on the platform and get it off your chest, talk, we sorry we have to kind of, try to restrict it to an hour or so, but no, it's been lovely, man.
When you guys are ready to flip the script, let me come on and interview you.
Nice.
Let's do that for an episode.
Yeah. I want to hear your story.
Yeah. We have to do that soon. Well, we got the social media, yes, all your sites. We did the Q&A. I just want to do a final reminder, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you go over to YouTube, like and subscribe so you can get that content hot out the fish grease. And we'd like to thank you, as always, for joining us here every Thursday at 6 o'clock for That's My Story. And I guess for my fellow co-hosts, Mr. Ken Knox, Mr. Brandon Stevens, the lovely Miss Shelly Clark White, and our special guest, Drew Schultz. We're signing off. We'll see you next week. Peace, love. Right. Wear your mask.
Thanks, Drew.